What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Range Minded Podcast. Got a little excited, maybe got a little heated, kind of lost my voice there in the beginning. What's going on, folks? Did I miss a show last week? I can't remember. I probably did. All fairness, I know, I give you excuses every time, but this is a good one, honestly. If you know, or maybe you don't know, I'm a carpenter by trade, and sometimes the job just has to get done. So I've been pushing 12-hour days this whole last week. Kind of tired, but not too tired to share my love for the Second Amendment with my peeps, if you know what I mean. So this show, I think we're just going to kind of hit some new news stories. So you're going to see me glancing down here to the old laptop. I'm not ignoring you. I promise. I promise. But before I jump into this, I wanted to share something else with you. So I've been kind of hitting Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, kind of hard. Not so much that I'm like posting something every 30 seconds like some people do. A lot. Some of you people on Twitter need to just relax a couple notches. Just take it down to turn it to 7, maybe not 11 this time. But I've met some amazing people on Twitter. Twitter Spaces. I don't know if you guys ever hang out on Twitter Spaces, but if you do, I'm on Twitter Spaces a lot. So if you follow me, Range Minded Podcast, I almost said rangemindedpodcast.com. Range Minded Podcast. It might just be Range Minded on Twitter. I don't know. You can see the link on our website, rangemindedpodcast.com. But you can follow us on Twitter or X, again, whatever it's called. And then you can hang out every time we get on Spaces, which lately, again, I have been hanging out a lot on Spaces. And there might be some more cool things developing from that, but we're not going to talk about that right now because that's not important. Nonetheless, I've met some people that are going to be guests on the show. I've met some people with some pretty amazing stories that they need to share. You guys need to hear some of the stories that are going on. There's a big push. Maybe you didn't know. Maybe you just don't listen to the show. Maybe you haven't realized that there's a major push against your constitutional, your God-given right, granted by God, like not the government. It's given to you by God, by the Creator, by the Great Almighty, whatever you want to call it. Him, her, whatever. I don't care. God, okay? God gives you the right to keep and bear arms and defend yourself and your family. And there's a major attack that's not getting talked about, that's not getting publicized. And you need to see and hear the people that are being affected. Their lives are being affected at great cost, whether that be financially. Some of these folks go to jail. Some of these folks lose lots of property. All these things kind of go against what the Second Amendment stands for, what your rights mean. So I'm going to be bringing these stories to you. Again, you can hang out on X and find out a lot of this stuff for yourself. But, maybe it's more fun just to hang out with me. I don't know. Maybe you're lazy. Maybe you're apathetic. I got crap in my eyes. People ask, do you spend a lot of time editing your videos when you do stuff? And I'm like, have you not watched a show? I figure, why not keep things real? I don't like editing. It sucks. It's boring. And it feels like it's just more of a conversation of us hanging out instead of me like, clip, put another thing, clip. That's dumb. That's dumb. Let's hang out. That's what we do. That's what peeps do with each other. They hang out and have a good time. That being said, I'm a little wound up, a little excited, a lot tired, and all those end up making a good show, I hope, for you. And that being said, we'll open the unofficial beverage of the podcast. I don't even know if I can say the name of this company, honestly. I mean, I have before. I would never say that Bundaberg Ginger Beer is the official drink of the show. I also would never suggest finding them at Fred Meyer, Costco, or World Market because, you might be able to find them at any of those places, but I can't really say that. I never would. That's a great sound, don't you think? I would say, though, if you do happen to, like ginger beer, this is probably the stoutest one you'll drink, and by far the most satisfying. Do you guys remember Total squirrel moment, right? You guys remember the first Wayne's World when they talk about product placement and he's like, I'm not going to be a shield to the man. He's eating Doritos out of the old school Dorito bag, and I think he's drinking Coke. Domino's Pizza shows up in there somehow, or Little Caesar. Anyway, hilarious. All right. Maybe I should be editing videos so you don't have to deal with this. Too bad. Too bad. This is what you get. So there are a few stories. We're going to talk about some current events. There are a few stories that have erupted, that have come forth, that have been presented online. And maybe you guys don't know where to find these. Let me make one quick suggestion. I know it's good for me because it makes me have a chance to have content on the show. But you guys really need to be doing your own research. Never take my word for it. Never just trust me. I don't want you to just trust me. I want you to learn how to do the research. I forget most of the stuff that I study and I look at. I'm not going to lie to you. I forget a ton of it. Once in a while, something will click and it'll stay. Usually it's a worthless movie quote from the 90s. But once in a while, if I'm studying and looking through content to share with you guys, every little bit something stays. Usually it's like the headline of an article or something that clicks and stays, but I can read through the content and I can forget what I've read just a few minutes later. So I'm going to have to go back to some of these articles that I found. You're just going to have to deal with me reading them. I don't care. I'm going to link these stories in the show notes. I tried on YouTube once and it wouldn't let me. I got to figure that out. Nonetheless, if you're listening to the audio version, it's going to be in the show notes. On the audio version. I need you guys to go back and look through these articles. I need you guys to learn how to find the information on the Second Amendment for yourselves, not just rely on the talking heads, because we're people, we're fallible, we make mistakes. But if you know how to find the resources, if you know where to look, and you know how to extrapolate the data, you're going to be better armed as a Second Amendment advocate, as a steward of the Second Amendment. You're going to understand where we get these rules, where we get these laws, where we get our rights, and then you'll be able to articulate them better when you have discussions with your family or friends or whatever. So please, don't just look up the articles I share in the show notes either. Be proactive. Learn. Educate yourself. Because it's really that knowledge is the power, not just an article that you pull up on your phone. All right. That being said, so the NSSF, you guys know who the NSSF is? If you don't, it's the National Shooting Sports Foundation. So they have, they're like the biggest trade organization. Like they help the whole firearms industry. They're like the biggest group that helps and supports the firearms industry. Huge. They're the ones that put up SHOT Show. Like, they take care of all that. Not only do they take care of SHOT Show, they take care of range owners. They take care of retailers. They have a ton of resources available to. So like when I was working independence, we were a member of the NSSF, which gave us access to a plethora of information. It gave me access to attorneys. Gave me access to EPA data and all sorts of stuff that is necessary to run a range. But a lot of this information is not just for members. So if you're looking for gun retail data for 2022, you can jump off on the NSSF as well. NSSF is the NSSF.org is the website. The NSSF's, wow, that's hard to say, website. And you can look at all this information. It's publicly accessible. Now, some of the other resources are not. Like I said, you have to be a member to get some of this stuff. But for the most part, news releases, press releases, sales information, a lot of statistics, a lot of that stuff is available on their website. So I'm telling you this as a resource. Okay? I want you guys to be educated. I want you guys to be armed up here as well as your everyday carry life-saving device. Okay? I need you guys to retain this information. Or at least know where to go to get it. Anyway, Gosh, I'm on a lot of squirrels. Like, it is what it is. All right. So the NSSF celebrates, this is the headline, and I thought there was one of these articles, but there's two, actually. We'll kind of mold them both together. The NSSF celebrates Kentucky, the Kentucky Second Amendment Privacy Act. Okay, so what is the Second Amendment Privacy Act? Excuse me. So, I don't know if you remember, I think it was the end of last year, you heard that credit card companies were going to start creating a code for, so anytime you buy something with your credit card, there is a code attached. So the credit card companies, wherever else, can know what kind of merchandise, or at least what kind of store you're purchasing things from. So I don't know if they're letters or numbers or whatever, but these credit card companies can identify what your shopping habits are by looking at the reference codes. Now, when you'd go to your favorite firearms retailer, it would probably fall under something like the sporting goods code. It wouldn't identify something specific, just saying, hey, they went to a sporting goods store. That's fine, right? Big deal. No big deal at all. But there was a push to create a specific purchase code when using a credit card that would signify guns and ammunition. You might not think that's a big deal. Why would I think it's a big deal? You want to know why I feel like it's a big idea? Big deal. Gosh, I'm struggling tonight. As I'm recording, it's 10:30 at night. Like I said, I've been working 10, 12-hour days all week, so I'm a little groggy. So here it is. It's kind of a pseudo. It's not going to be like they know exactly what gun you're purchasing or exactly what caliber of ammunition you're buying, but they'll know you bought a gun, ammo, or accessories. Not just they went to a sporting goods store. Now it's starting to funnel down to something more specific. Now, you got to understand that federal agencies and now private companies, they would have access to this kind of information. Why is that a big deal? Well, a big deal is it's none of their damn business what you're buying. Okay? Once they know, hey, Steve from Range Minded Podcast, he spent a lot of money at XYZ gun store. Now, I already have enough trouble dealing with my wife when some of that information comes out, let alone the federal government. So, these codes are a big deal. It is, like I said, it is none of the government's business to get involved in every aspect of your purchasing habits. There's a problem there. I hope you see this problem. So anyway, the NSSF, gosh, why am I struggling saying that? The NSSF, along with lawmakers, got together and created this Second Amendment Privacy Act. And then they presented this act, this kind of a canned bill, if you will, presented it to all these states, to all the legislators that are pro 2A. Now, these legislators, they looked at this canned bill and they altered it to fit within their state's needs. That is good, right? Can you see where I'm going with this? Now, we see that Kentucky, this article was published on the 27th of March of this year. Kentucky passed the Protection Act, the Privacy Protection Act. No, not Privacy Protection, the Second Amendment Privacy Act. But just 2 days before, check this out. Wyoming did the same thing. Now, it was the Kentucky article that I saw, and I'm like, how many states are actually doing this? It'd be nice if every state did this. So at the bottom of both articles, I'm just going to scroll down to the one for Wyoming here, or Montana, Wyoming. You following along? Because I'm not. So let's see. Wyoming joins. I hope your state. Now listen for your state. Wyoming joins Indiana, Utah, Florida, Idaho, Mississippi, Montana, North Dakota, Texas, West Virginia, and, what did we just say before? Kentucky. All of those states have now passed an act within their state to not allow credit card companies to track your firearms purchases because it's none of their freaking business. I don't even know why we have to pass these bills. It's sad that we have to have the state step in and say, leave our citizens alone. Hopefully your state is within those group of states that have passed this act. If not, you probably should get a hold of your representation and raise some hell, because this is a big deal. It is a huge deal. Again, it is not the government's job to get involved in everything you purchase. I know they want to. They want to be involved in every aspect of our lives, but it is none of their damn business. We can talk about that a little bit later in the show when I probably start monologuing like normal, but that's just what you expect from me, right? So congratulations, Kentucky. Congratulations, Wyoming. And congratulations to those other states that have stood up for our rights. Thankfully, my state, the great state of Idaho, with our mediocre, honestly, leadership. I hate saying that. It's not leadership. It's representation. Don't ever let a politician tell you that he is your leader, because he is not, or she. They were hired by you, by the way. They're not our leaders. They are our employees. So make sure you treat them as such. Any of you, I'm sure some of you own businesses. If you had an employee that was extremely lazy and didn't do what you were asked, what you told them to do or what you asked them to do, you would probably fire them. We should probably have that same mentality with our representatives. They are our employees. Treat them as such. Don't be a jerk. You can still respect your employees, but they do need to do what they're asked to do, and not whatever they want. I've worked in retail. I've had those employees. I know what it's like. Okay, moving along. So as I was perusing tonight, actually, usually while I'm doing some show prep, I always like to glance to see what amazing news articles are available for me to fill in some time with. This story happens to be one of them. And you hear this nonstop. Excuse me. And it's frustrating. But is it true? What is Steve even talking about? Well, let's dive into this. And I'm excited to tell you that this story comes from our friends at the Washington Post. So you know it's going to be good. Let's see. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. Oh, I don't know. Have you guys been paying attention to what's going on in Haiti? It's making Chicago look super peaceful. Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So this guy, Walder? Interesting name. So what's going on? I'm not going to read the whole story because it's stupid, mostly. So what this story is going into, it's so this uprising in Haiti. There is a surge of illegal guns making its way to Haiti, according to the Compost of Washington. So apparently they talked to this guy that was in a gun store, which I don't even know how they found this guy. What, are they just randomly standing outside, racially profiling for a Haitian to walk into a gun store so they can ask him what he's doing? Doesn't that seem a little bit unfair? Maybe racist at some point. But anyway, the guy that they talk about in this story, he's in there buying guns. Just buying guns. If only there was a law to keep somebody from buying guns for an unauthorized user. Wow, wouldn't that be amazing? So anyway, they talk about this guy that goes into this Florida gun shop, buys a bunch of stuff. They call it a shopping list from his homies in Haiti. And he buys them thousands of dollars worth of firearms. Just picks them up, I guess. Apparently, in Florida, you don't have to go actually through a background check. Fill out a 4473, pass a background check, pass the muster even from the retailer selling you the gun. Apparently, that doesn't exist in Florida. Weird. So, It's almost like he's going to break the law no matter what. Anyway, that's, just besides the point. So this individual purchased a bunch of guns, and then the story talks about this specific port in Florida, on one of the Florida River. I don't know if it's the Seminole River or where it's at, where these big barges just chill and hang out, and a lot of Haitians, they'll put food and other goods for their family down in Haiti, and this thing just kind of slow boats down there. And apparently it's too hard to search these barges for the Florida Police Department, or the state police, or the feds for that matter, because this would actually be a federal case, not a state case, because they're breaking federal law. Anyway, they say that the tons of guns are ending up in Haiti because of our lax gun laws. That's what a lot of the people in Haiti, whatever lawmakers are left, they're saying it's America's fault that the Haitian gangs have guns and are violent. I would probably say that the Haitian laws are creating violent people to do desperate things in Haiti, in my opinion. How the hell is it America's problem if they're getting guns? This purchaser broke federal law by buying a gun for an unauthorized user, a non-citizen who's not in the country. I propose a thing, too, that I don't think it matters where they go, whether this dude bought some from a gun dealer or bought them on the street, or we're going to talk about something later, even worse. Anyway, U.S. authorities, let's see, I'm going to make sure this is the right paragraph here. I'll read it anyways. U.S. authorities seize some of the guns in the 400 Mazu plot. I don't know what that, before they could be smuggled. So I guess the guy bought 400 guns. Two others, so St. Louis and two others pleaded guilty under federal gun running conspiracy charges. That's a federal law, right? Because they're breaking, of course it's going to be a federal lawsuit. The gang, again, gangs, I'm pretty sure organized crime is still illegal in the United States. Well, I guess they also gained notoriety for kidnapping Canadian missionaries. Here's the funny thing, though. The guns that they're showing in this article and the purchasing that took place happened in, and he guesses, 2022. Now, this article was actually written today, the 5th. As I'm recording, it's the 5th of April. So the story's new, but the details of the story are 2 years old. But I guess that's relevant news, right? Weird. Nearly 85% of the guns found in crime scenes in Haiti have been submitted to the U.S. ATF. Let's just say the ATF in 2021. Again, so now we're 3 years back. Okay. They figured that 98% of the weapons came from the United States. Okay. What about the drugs? What about the violence? What about the starvation? What about the corruption? Is that coming from the U.S. too? I don't think so. Well, maybe. Hell, I don't know anymore. So that's the funny thing. So all this data that was cited in this story is almost 3 years old in some cases, or about 3 years old. Interesting, huh? Interesting. So we're citing criminal conduct from years ago and pointing it to something that's happening right now in Haiti. Again, remember we talked about in the beginning of the show, you need to understand how to extrapolate the data, how to do the research yourself. We don't know if the guns in Haiti came from the United States now. In the article, it says that the ATF seized a whole bunch of guns. That doesn't mean the guns being used now came from the United States. Perhaps that's something that's coming from the anti-gun lobby. I'm just saying this, perhaps. Perhaps this is coming from the anti-gun lobby to say, well, the Americans don't need guns because violence in other countries is also the Americans' fault. We can't even solve the shit that's taking place in our country. Why are we responsible for somebody else's shit? I'll tell you, we're not. We're not. That's not our problem. Don't fall prey to these ridiculously written articles. Okay, don't do it. Study your own stuff. Learn to read these. Hang out on Moms Demand Action stuff, which sounds like a terrible name for an organization. I'm not going to lie. It should be on a different kind of website, if you know what I mean. Who comes up with these things? Anyway, but there's more. This next story comes from a more trusted website, the Truth About Guns. And again, I'm going to link all these stories below. This one I probably will read a lot more because this is a big deal. This article was written April 2nd, 2024. So, you know, the article is called More Mexican Gun Running Hijinx with the Biden Admin. So, we just read, or I just kind of glanced over the problem in Haiti and how they're saying all the guns are coming from the United States, to Haiti from the United States. Oh, but there's so much more you need to understand about this, okay? Now, I know South America, and in that article, the Haitian article, it talks about guns going South America and also finding their way across the ocean there to Haiti. But this should be interesting for you. Do you guys remember in the way back machine, Project Fast and Furious? If you're unfamiliar with Project Fast and Furious, look it up, and you will see a vast amount of incompetence on the part of the United States government, particularly with the probably Homeland Security, I'm sure is part of it. Definitely the ATF. There's a lot. Tons of incompetence. Now, why would I say that? Because usually these organizations are at the spear point of efficiency. That might be the case, but not in Operation Fast and Furious. In fact, what was going on was the government, under Barack Obama, might I add, what was his name? Oh, I can't remember the guy's name now. He decided that he was going to, we're going to solve crime, and we're going to make a point. We're going to prove something to the public. So the ATF decided to contract people to do straw purchases. Okay, now this is just my opinion, my understanding of the story. Do your own research. They contacted people to make straw purchases from various gun stores in the border states. Now they would give these people money, convince them that they needed to make straw purchases, which they did, and bring the guns back. Now, you would think because the government said, hey, can you do this, those people would be let go. No, they got prosecuted for doing straw purchases. So the government obviously didn't care about these individuals. But what did the government do with all these guns? Oh, they sold them to the cartels. Yes, that's right. Agents of our beautiful country decided to prove a point. They would sell firearms, which they illegally purchased via a straw purchase. So it was almost a straw purchase, I guess you could say. Ship them across the border to see where all these guns would go so they could prove a point. Now, you might think, well, that's not a terrible idea other than the straw purchase. I mean, it'd be kind of interesting to see where these guns end up. Yeah, that would be. In fact, they did find one of them. One of them was used to kill a border agent. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, one of the guns that the federal government used to prove a point with Project Fast and Furious ended up on the scene of a drug dealer or a cartel member used to kill a federal agent. Now, that family would still have their dad home if the government wouldn't have made a ridiculous mockery of gun laws, which I know that they do all the time. But that's besides the point. Now, that was under the Obama administration, right? Pretty awesome. You don't have to believe me. Look it up. Operation Fast and Furious. Look it up. Now, let's get to this Truth About Guns article. Like I say, let me look and see how long this article actually is. We probably won't read the whole thing. But this is how it starts. There's a sense of deja vu all over again when it comes to the federal government shutting down efforts to put a halt to Mexican gun running schemes. Now, what is that? Why? That seems like a fun statement, right? Deja vu, like we're having this thing happen all over again. It's like we've dealt with this before. Yeah, that's right. So Chuck Grassley, who happens to be, seems like anyways, he's on the gun owner side. Now, let's rewind a little bit. The only reason why we knew about Operation Fast and Furious was somebody in the government said, this is not right. We had a whistleblower stood up and said, hey, look at these. Here's the information. Dig here. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, the Senate, who's in control of all this stuff, they can do all the investigations. The Senate was given this information, and they investigated and found out that that this stuff was going on. I can see that guy's name, his face. I just can't think of his name that ran this stupid project. Anyway, so Grassley from Iowa, thank you, Mr. Grassley, Senator Grassley, he was given some documents from another whistleblower. So a whistleblower, is this happening again? Is Project Fast and the Furious, like, are we getting a 2.0? Like there was lots of movies. Who knows how many times the same thing would happen with these ridiculous operations. Let's see. This whistleblower came from the ATF. This same kind of deal with Fast and Furious. Let's see, blah, blah, blah. Yep. We just talked about that. It just goes and talks about Operation Fast and Furious. All right, so here it is. Now, another whistleblower is warning of a similar scheme that might be playing out the same way again. Okay, so we have some commonalities already, right? Barack Obama had a vice president who is our current president. Interesting. Anyway, but I digress. Senator Grassley released the documents that were sent to 9 federal law enforcement agencies within the Departments of Justice, Homeland Security, and the state of the U.S. Postal Service. That's interesting. Interesting indeed. What else does the Postal Service doing that doesn't involve delivering mail? Again, I digress. He's seeking answers for the secretive ATF operation that Biden administration still refuses to acknowledge exists. Project Thor. That was a successful operation to interdict illegal firearm smuggling from the United States to Mexico. It was successful until the Biden administration pulled the plug. So President Trump set up something to stop illegal guns going. Well, at least try to do something. We got to do something. You hear that all the time, right? We must do something. Well, okay. We had a president that did do something, and it was actually working. But in order to push an agenda, perhaps, anyway, the current administration says, well, let's let the guns, let them free again. Honesty. Senator Grassley says this: the American people deserve to know more about the Biden administration's strategy to target cartel firearms networks in the U.S. Senator Grassley wrote, according to CBS News, the CBS investigated illicit gun trafficking to Mexico on their own. They found Mexican drug cartels were funneling firearms, including military-grade weapons, into Mexico. What's coming up from Mexico, by the way? It seems like there's been something coming up from Mexico, by the way. Fentanyl, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Intelligence documents and interviews with half a dozen current and former officials show that the U.S. government has known this for years, but sources say it has done little to stop these weapons trafficking networks inside the United States, which move up to 1 million firearms across the border annually. Wait a minute. Gee, it's almost like the feds don't care. Anyway, the CBS report added that until Project Thor was launched, there was no focus on interdicting and locking up Mexican gun smugglers. Senator Grassley estimated that upwards of $500 million worth of firearms and ammunition was being smuggled annually, and Project Thor worked 76 cartel trafficking cases between 2018, and identified Mexican cartels as the culprits. The Justice Department officials told Senator Grassley that they were unfamiliar with Project Thor and claimed that the senator found surprising since the documents his office uncovered identified 16 executive branch agencies, including the DOJ, the Drug Enforcement Agency, and the FBI. Other documents indicated the U.S. Embassy in Mexico was prepared to brief the U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Ken Salazar, shortly after his arrival. That briefing was verified in ATF emails uncovered by Senator Grassley. Okay, so if this machine was working, meaning that there was something put in place to stop this crazy smuggling campaign to Mexico, why did they stop it? Well, this is also from Mr. Grassley. Given the reports, Project Thor successfully identified and shared intelligence to law enforcement agencies government-wide to aid investigations and prosecutions of these types of cases. The American people deserve to know why the ATF has chosen to defund Project Thor and use its resources to target FFLs and individual law-abiding gun owners. So that was back at the end of last year, 2023. Grassley wrote a letter to Steve Dittlebug to find out what the hell. You have something that's working and you quit it and go after legal gun owners instead. What the hell, ATF? I think I might just continue reading this. Actually, I don't know. We'll see. Let's see. Senator Grassley sought answers as to why the ATF stopped putting effort into the program to disrupt illegal firearms trafficking in 2022, and instead focused efforts on rulemaking that included publishing the final rules on frames and receivers, engaged in business and zero-tolerance policies that have forced firearms retailers out of business for minor clerical errors. That was one on my own. Instead of focusing on criminal cartels, the Biden administration and the ATF have shifted focus to indiscriminately targeting lawful firearms owners, purchasers, and sellers instead of using intelligence and the whole government approach to identify and target the leadership and networks directed in trafficking of firearms from U.S. to Mexico. The timing of this decision to cut off the funding of the Project Thor is suspect, especially since there were indications that it was disrupting cartel cells as far north as Washington State and Maine. That's just a border issue. The federal government and as many as 16 federal law enforcement agencies were penetrating these networks that were reportedly sending automatic firearms. Actually, I can't even buy an auto without dealing with some major bullshit, but these guys are just picking them up in Washington State. Let's see. Actual automatic firearms into Mexico and arm narco terrorists. It begs the question as to why the ATF would pull the plug. What else could be going on? Great question. It was in August of 21 that Mexico filed its $10 billion lawsuit against the U.S. firearms manufacturers. They claimed that the U.S. firearms manufacturers were complicit in contributing to the illegal firearms trafficking to cartels in Mexico. That case was dismissed by a U.S. district court in September of 22. In a ruling that the Protection of Lawful Commerce Act, which is true, that's what that's for, prohibited the lawsuit. 15 months later, a 3-judge panel for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the First Circuit revised that decision, allowing the claim of $10 billion to go forward. Of course. Those are the same manufacturers that President Joe Biden called the enemy when he began his campaign for the Oval Office in 19. This is the same firearms industry that was told to continue to sell guns during Operation Fast and Furious when those retailers knew those guns would be trafficked. Again, we talked about that, right? The ATF told these people, yes, we're going to buy guns. You're going to buy guns illegally, and we're going to see what happens. And those retailers got shut down. Let's see. I don't know who Forcelli is, but we're going to talk about him anyways. Told Cam Edwards, from Bearing Arms. There were members of the industry who did not want to sell to people who were trafficking guns to Mexico, who were told specifically to do so by federal prosecutors and ATF agents, including senior level executive personnel. That's my surprise face. To be clear on this timeline, President Biden called firearm manufacturers the enemy while campaigning in 2019. President Biden took office in 21. Mexico filed their $10 billion lawsuit in 21. The ATF's Project Thor was successful in the disruption of Mexican cartel gun smuggling, was defunded in 21. Where the following year, Mexico's lawsuit was dismissed and later revived in 2024. And now, Senator Grassley is still being stonewalled by 16 federal law enforcement agencies as to why the successful operation to stop guns from being illegally trafficked was halted by the agency that is in charge of it happening. The echoes of bungled federal government operations and cover-ups are haunting. Thank you, Senator Grassley, for what you're doing. Do you see how frustrating this is? Do you see why I'm frustrated? This is why I read that entire article, and hopefully you got something out of it. You and I are being slapped in the face. While they're doing whatever they want, they're playing games with our rights, and these games are meant to take away our rights. That's why I said in the very beginning, God grants rights, not the government. The government cannot take these rights away from you. They were never given to you by them. The Constitution was written to put a restriction on the federal government, not a restriction on our rights. The Constitution doesn't give you your rights. The federal government is bound by the Constitution. It is a fence. It is a restriction. It is a dog collar. Don't take that collar off. Don't let them think that they can do whatever they want. It is not a free-for-all document for the government. It is a free-for-all document for you. Do you see the games that are being played here? Do you understand? Anytime the left tries to pull the strings and say, hey, we have to do something about guns, they create a problem that forces an issue that toys with your emotions. Oh my gosh, Haiti has this problem. The guns are coming from the United States. We got to stop this from happening. We got to just stop Americans from owning guns because guns are the problem throughout the world and they all come from the United States. Yet, I just read you an article. The Biden administration and other agencies at the federal level are trafficking, giving guns to narco-terrorists, which go throughout the world. Yeah, those guns are coming from the United States via the federal government. Don't buy the bullshit. Don't. I'm spicy. That just pisses me off. Sorry, I shouldn't cuss so much. I'm trying to be better, but obviously I'm failing. You should be just as wound up over this story as I am, by the way. That should just... chap your khakis, I guess, would be the... Should we move to something a little bit more positive? I need a drink. Don't worry, it's not alcoholic. Ugh. The nice thing about the Bundaberg ginger beer here, which is not a sponsor, by the way, is it's got real bits of ginger, so it's got a bite when you drink it. Oh, excuse me. I digress. Whew. Okay, I gotta unwind. My blood pressure kind of spiked there. I would apologize, but I'm not going to. You're just gonna have to deal with it. Let's move to something a little bit more lighter, shall we? I think we should. Now, we talked about teachers carrying guns. Now, let's even go back farther than that. So, okay, hold on. We talked about teachers carrying and using firearms to keep schools safe before. We also talked about, I don't remember what episode it was. I should know, but I don't remember what episode it was. We talked about Utah has allowed that for many, many years. And Utah has, I think, had one school shooting in the past, 25 years. And it wasn't even a real school shooting. It was something that happened in a parking lot. So it's successful, right? We have anecdotal evidence, I guess you could say, as far as Utah is concerned, is a great example for other states to follow to allow teachers to carry to keep your children safe in schools. Now, there's been a lot of funding cuts. There's been a lot of issues. So there's less resource officers, which makes it even a bigger soft target. By the way, guns are not the issue here. Guns have nothing to do with it. It's the hate and the anger and the violence that is the issue. The tool is irregardless. Look up the various stabbings that are taking place throughout the world with guns that don't, or countries that don't have guns. Yet, according to our government, I guess. It's a tool. The tool can be used in any way. I think I talked a little bit about my class the last time we met that I took in Boise. I learned how to use a knife in a different way, and it's a very effective tool. I knew that from doing other things I've done with knives. It's all based on knowledge and intent, family. Knowledge and intent. Anywho, I digress once again. Tennessee. The great. Now, every time I read stories about Tennessee, good news stories, it makes me want to move there even more. Tennessee took a major. This is also from the Truth About Guns, by the way. This article was also published yesterday. You thought I was going to say today. In a significant step forward, I'm not going to read this whole story, okay? I'll just read a little bit. In a significant step forward bolstering school safety, Tennessee is on the verge of enacting legislation that would permit public school teachers and staff to carry concealed firearms on the premises, providing that they obtain training and a permit, which is fine. I'm okay with that. When we talk about school safety this way, you're going to hear a lot of the left freak out and say, well, every teacher is going to carry a gun. They're going to be forced to carry a gun and learn how to use it. What if it's against their will? No, that is not how these bills work. If a teacher feels so inclined to protect the children in their classroom and they want to go through the burden, that this is kind of a burden in a way, but I'm okay with this burden because that's our most precious asset they're covering, they're watching over. They have to go through the training, only if they want to. Okay. Also in this article, it talks about resource officer funding and other safety measures at schools. I'm assuming they're talking about metal detectors and that kind of thing. But they're going to increase the resource officers and allow staff, if they want to, that's the key component here, if they desire to, gives them the option to carry life-saving tools within the school. Why are not more schools doing this? Now, Tennessee has 566 public schools without resource officers. Okay, maybe you also remember this a few years back. Go back in the time machine again with me here. My daughter's school had a school shooting. Yeah, here in rural Idaho. Okay, I've talked about how frustrating and how helpless I felt. There was a resource officer there, but I don't want to disparage. I know who the resource officer is. I don't want to disparage who they are. Let's just say there could probably be some physical training standards that could be bumped up a little bit. Okay, I don't know how politely to put it. I don't even know if that person listens to the show or watches the show. Let's just say this: if you're going to have a resource officer or officers on school property, they should probably be a little bit more in shape than A shape. Is that a better way to put it? I don't mean to be rude, but it's the reality. I mean, some of these resource officers I have seen are either ancient, they're like 70 years old, or they look like they hang out at a taco truck 24/7. I know that's not nice. I know that's mean. I don't care. I would rather see somebody that can roll around on a jiu-jitsu mat for 30 minutes of roll time than somebody that can eat 15 Twinkies in 30 seconds. It's just the way it should be. We have bank guards, security guards. We have people securing our legislators who are writing crappy bills and letting shit happen across the world because they have an agenda. We cover these people with fit officers who can do things and know how to do things, but our most precious asset, our children. Tennessee, just one state, 566 schools that don't have a resource officer at all. That's our future. That's our future legislatures. That's our future president. Well, maybe. I don't know. You get what I'm saying, right? Maybe I shouldn't have done this show. Anyway, congratulations, Tennessee. I am grateful that your state sees fit to keep your children safe. More states need to be doing this. I wish my state would be a little bit more proactive. I wish my school board would be a little bit more proactive. Well, I don't know if you can hear it. When I bump my mic, sometimes there's something wrong with the wire in it. How come me? I have taught hundreds of people how to shoot. How come I can't carry a gun in a school? Whatever. Anyway, Tennessee, you guys rock. Like I say, every time I read a positive story about Tennessee, it makes me just kind of want to move there. Is what it is. All right. Let's have a chat. I know some of you, as soon as I say something like that, I'm sure you get so excited. Again, I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show that I've been hanging around a lot on Spaces. I have met some really cool people. And it's opened my eyes in a way that I would not have expected. Now, I know you absorb yourself around people. You kind of get this confirmation bias where, these guys think the same way I do. So maybe millions more people see the same thing I do. And that might be true. I'm sure there's an aspect to it. But the group of people I've kind of fallen in with on Twitter Spaces, they're not just I'm Donald Trump 2024. Blah. No, these aren't these kind of people. We have people of all kinds of mindsets, all kinds of ethnicities, from all over the country. One of them is from another country, not even a U.S. citizen. They all have their own opinions about what they think is wrong and right with the government. But one thing about this group of guys and gals I've been hanging out with on Twitter is they love freedom. They understand that freedom is key. Freedom trumps everything. Freedom is greater than safety. That's why I encourage you guys to hang out on Twitter Spaces with us, because it's eye-opening. You're going to see people that hate Donald Trump, but would rather be able to have free speech than be pushed by the man. You're going to hear perspectives that I didn't know existed. Or I shouldn't say that, but I was surprised to hear some of these people that you kind of stereotype, that you peg in a certain spot because they look different, they sound different than me. so they can't have the same ideas as me. And you hear their perspectives. Carbon Mike, I think I shared an article. Ooh, I'll tag it in here too. I'm going to try and get him as a guest. He's actually he asked me to be on the show. I'm excited to bring him here, and I hope I can. We'll talk about why, but he's a New York man. He was lives in Brooklyn, and he's in trouble with the state of New York over some firearms bullshit. You're going to see, if I can get him, when I get him on the show, you're going to see what I mean when you actually get to know him. The man is amazing. The man has perspective that I shouldn't say that I didn't expect. I did not expect. Because he's from a big city, and you think people from the inner city are like thugs and they hate guns or whatever. They're super liberal. No. It's interesting to hear his perspective, because even he says everybody around me is far more conservative than the way the state votes. So why? It's because they're apathetic. And when we have him on the show, we'll talk about it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I don't have to talk when he's on the show, because he has a way to resonate across the board. He's in trouble right now with the state of New York, or the city. I'm pretty sure it's the state. It would be a state issue, because he was building firearms for himself. It's not illegal to build your own personal firearm collection. Build, not buy. Build a firearms collection. He wasn't selling them, as far as I understand. He wasn't selling them for money. He wasn't doing anything illegal, because it's a protected thing. It has been since before the country was a country, by the way. But something came up, and the ATF raided his house. Said he was violating all sorts of laws. Oh. Excuse me. And then the ATF said he's not breaking any federal laws. And so the feds decided not to prosecute. But the state said, we hate guns. And so he's kind of in the middle of that right now. That's why I'm hoping we can have him on the show. Incredible dude. Absolutely incredible dude. You're going to like him. I met this other young man named Brennan who got in trouble with... I shouldn't say he got in trouble, because Carbon Mike, his real name's Dexter, but we call him Carbon Mike, he's 50-something years old, never been in trouble with the law, ever. Nothing. But they decided, hey, he's got guns, that's dangerous, scary, blah. Now, Brennan, who's from Jersey, very similar situation. They weren't making firearms, but his grandpa is a military. He lives with his grandparents. His grandpa was a Vietnam vet, and loved to take his grandson shooting. They did competitions together. They did all sorts of stuff. But apparently the school felt like he was a danger, and the state decided to jump in and cause a ruckus. I'll let him tell the story. We will have him on the show as well. Absolute freaking nightmare. Now, it's easy for us to say, well, those people are back with big city, blah, blah, blah. This would never happen to us. You need to understand, their case is our case. Their problems with the firearms, anti-firearms groups, their problems are our problems. Because it could easily be you, it could easily be me in their same shoes. It's been eye-opening for me. It's honestly opening avenues I'm not going to talk about yet. It's amazing. And it's not something I expected from social media at all. All right, we hear a lot of bad about social media. I spend way too much time on social media. I'll admit it. But getting to know these people has been very intriguing. Very intriguing indeed. You still have trash. You still have weirdos. I'm not going to say what I thought of. I'm not going to say that because we're not going to go there. I know that's cryptic and you don't know what my brain is thinking. But let's just say there's a lot of interesting people online. There's a lot of people we can learn from. We just need to ask. We just need to hear their story, and we need to share their story. I'll share you Carbon Mike. Again, his name's Dexter. I'll share his information on the show notes. Brennan didn't share his information, but I'm sure I can find it. The young man from Jersey. Now, all this happened when he was a minor, by the way. But I'll let him tell the story. Again, why do I feel this is important for you for me to share it with you? I told you I'm tired. Because it's happening all over the country. These are just the stories I found out about. But it's happening everywhere. And it disappoints me that the NRA doesn't care. Brennan, reach out to the NRA. Nothing. Crickets. They don't care. Those are the people that take your money to fight for your rights. But when somebody needs help, a kid needs help, I guess Wayne needed another suit. Their stories are our stories. Their experience is our experience. Don't bury your head in the sand. Don't take anything that you read or hear to face value. Dig deeper. Ask questions. Pull the thread. See where that thread goes. You might be surprised at the people you meet and the stories you hear. It's a big world out there. Our country's in trouble. Our citizens are in trouble. Your rights are in trouble. Ronald Reagan said, we are one vote away from losing our freedoms. It's true. If you're my age or older, you're going to remember the country you grew up in. And then you look at the country we have now. It's not the same. You tell me you're more free now than you were 10 years ago. And then you prove it to me. It's a mess. It's dangerous. Maybe we should talk about some other stuff in a different episode, like how to create a bug out bag. I don't know what's going to happen. We should probably talk about medical stuff. That would probably be a really good show, actually. I have to write that down. We need to talk to more legislators. I need to bring more on the show so we can talk about how to help introduce bills, how to help on legislation action, how to help in a precinct, maybe how to run for office. I'm going to tell you straight up, I thought my ideas were becoming a minority. But when I meet these people from every state in the country, I realize that we the people is real. Preamble of the Constitution. We the people of the United States. We the people are the key. That's what keeps this country free. You and me. Your neighbor. Your community. It's okay to have difference of opinion. If all the founding fathers, they didn't all think the same way. I'm telling you, Thomas Paine, he didn't really think the same way as Benjamin Franklin. No. It's okay to have differences of opinion. Look what those men created, even though they did not believe in God. They didn't believe in Christianity. All of them didn't. It wasn't unanimous. What was unanimous was freedom. They understood that the principles of the Bible, of being a good person, about not sinning, about being polite to your neighbor, all those biblical principles, they come together and create a cohesive society despite of thought, despite of belief. We need to get back to that understanding that it's okay to not think the way that the person next to you does. That freedom of speech is a huge part of society, that you're free to say whatever you want, but you're also responsible for the consequences of that speech. That it's okay to defend your life, your liberty, or your sacred honor. Wake up. Wake up. I know some of you don't know what to do next. I feel that way a lot at the same time too. That I just don't know what to do. You can start by changing yourself. That's where it starts. Make some goals. Start with you. It's all of us, but it starts with each of us. Anyway, that's it. I digress. No, I don't digress anymore. By hell, that's just the way it is. If you made it through this entire show, thank you. I really, really appreciate you guys more than you understand. I don't get paid to do this. I do this because I want to. I do this because I love this country, and I want you guys to know how much I love this country. That maybe I can help one person. Maybe that one person's you. I don't know. I want you to enjoy this weekend. I want you to find something you can change, excuse me, within yourself and make that change. If you can go shooting this week, take somebody with you. Share your love for your freedoms with those around you. Starts with you, then your family, then your community. You got this. God bless you guys. You guys are amazing. If you want to reach out to the show, totally can. I appreciate it. You can actually send a message via the website. Go to rangemindedpodcast.com. There you can find almost all. I realized I don't have all the social media links there, but you can reach out to the show from there. You can email me from the show. I'll tell you what, I'll even do one better. You can email me directly. You want my email? I'll give you my email. Actually, I'll give you the Gmail version. Just go rangeminded at gmail.com. I think that's what it is. Just go through the website. It's easier. Gosh. On the website, you can find some affiliate links. If you're going to do some shopping, you might as well help the show out there as well. 2024, I still have big goals. I have a lot of shows that I want to create that would be so much fun, and I want to take you with me, but it costs money. You can use those affiliate links. They help the show a little bit. I appreciate it. I do. Don't forget, I probably should talk about this. Oh my gosh, big deal. GunCon, right? The show's going to be at GunCon this year. GunCon is June 29th. June 29th at Brownells in Granville, Iowa. At Brownells, you guys. At Brownells. I think there's still some tickets available. I don't think they've sold out yet. Tickets are $50. That includes a lunch, a T-shirt. I think there's something else in there. And also, they're going to be giving away a ton of stuff at GunCon. So, like, that ticket includes, like, entries to all their giveaways. Not only that, there's going to be panels. I think there's like 150 gun companies that are going to be there. I think there's like 175 content creators, including yours truly. It should be a ton of fun. If you want to get tickets, if they're still available, go to guncon.net, I think. I'm pretty sure it's guncon.net. Or you can just Google GunCon 2024, and it'll take you right to it. I'm pretty sure it's guncon.net. Boy, oh boy, I struggle. That would be awesome to see you there. It would be so cool to meet you guys face to face. Anyways, that'd be great. Again, appreciate you guys. Take somebody shooting. Don't waste your time. Time is precious. Anyway, again, jump to the website, rangermindedpodcast.com. You can send messages from there. You can use those affiliate links or whatever. Appreciate you guys. You guys are awesome. Don't forget, take somebody shooting.